Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So now that we are into the international break, I thought it would be a decent time to do a little review of Sunderland's start to the season, which has been quite an indifferent one, hasn't it? So we'll get straight into it, and then at the end I'll give our start to the season a sort of rating out of 10. So we'll go straight into it, like I say, starting off with the game against Oxford. So we opened the season with a home game against Oxford, which was terribly poor. We drew 1-1, and this was when Jack Ross was still sort of messing around and experimenting with this three at the back system, which in pre-season, I know it. No one was really a massive fan of it. Although I think because it worked at St Mirren for him, he wanted to see if he could, give the side some time to experiment with it with Sunderland. And we don't have the players to work that formation. That was blatant to see. That was so clear from early doors when it comes to the competitive games. In pre-season, like I say, in a couple of the pre-season games, I thought, defensively we look okay, but we just don't have any outlet to attack. Then the season comes, and both defensively and attacking wise, we look really poor, and that's shown particularly in the first game of the season where I think we were outplayed by Oxford. Or, I think Oxford were better than us. We were poor. We couldn't string a pass together. And we drew 1-1. We're probably lucky to get a point that day. So that was not the start we wanted. Particularly, we did have a difficult few games. I think we have had a difficult fixture list in terms of the few games, in terms of the teams we're playing as well. But I would have expected us, with no disrespect to Oxford, I would have expected 3 points considering our aim for this season. But we drew 1-1. Then we went away from home to Ipswich, which was always going to be a difficult game, and we drew 1-1 again. Now, on paper, that is a very good result. I would have happily taken that. But the performance, particularly in the first half, which is something I always allude to in my reviews now, was the worst half of football we have ever seen under Jack Ross, in my opinion anyway. Again, we couldn't string a pass together. Defensively, we were all over the place. There was no form of attacking threat for us whatsoever. There was no attacking outlet. And it was just dire. We tried that three at the back again, and no one seemed to know what they were doing at all. Was that Jack Ross's fault? Yes, 100%. Could the players have done better? Of course they could, but the players looked like they did not have a clue what they were doing at all. Changed it up in the second half a little bit. And we managed to bring it back to 1-1 through. I know it was some good work from McNulty, pressuring the Ipswich backline, which is something we've needed. And we were quite lucky, really. They made a bit of an error. McNulty forced them into an error. It's played across goal, and Gooch had an open net to knock it into. It was a marginally improved performance in that second half, but it did get us a very good point away from home. So 2 points from the opening two games, not ideal, but it could have been worse. It could have been miles worse because we could have easily lost in both of those games. So you could take positive somewhat from the opening couple of games, I guess. But at that point, as you probably would have told by my reviews at that time, I was definitely edging towards Jack Ross out because I thought, what the hell are you doing with this formation? It's not working. Throw it in the bin because we don't need it. It's shit. So the next game comes round, and it is away from home, my favourite away day, Aki Stanley in the League Cup, which I went to, and it was a massively improved performance. Was it brilliant? No, it was a bit of a scrappy affair, but I think we were the better team in every department. I don't think we battered them. We didn't completely dominate by any stretch. I don't think we did, but we were the better team, and it was the first time this season that we'd seen us actually just be better than the other team. Yeah, it was only Aki Stanley, but it was nice to see, and we ended up winning 3-1. It was a scrappy game, and we were better, and as soon as we had the injection of quality from McGeady, who come on later on, straight away, bang, it was literally like a cheat code. We were knocking on the door a little bit, trying to get in front after they did pull it back at Quinton. I think it was against the run of play. They got a penalty to make it 1-1 after we were leading by a goal to nil. But then McGeady come on and just took the absolute mick out of him. We managed to make it 2-1. White come on, who'd just been injured throughout the early stage of the season, got himself a goal as well, 3-1, and we won the game. So at that point, I thought, right, okay, we're getting into our stride a little bit here, because in all honesty, I think we didn't have enough pre-season games because we looked so, rigid and stiff. We looked rusty. for the opening couple of games of the season, we just didn't look ready. I think that was the be-all and end-all, especially the first few games. We did not look ready whatsoever. Because, again, I think I have mentioned in the review before, most other teams had a good 8 or 9 games played in pre-season, whereas we had, I think, 5 or 6, which might not seem like much, but you need to start playing regular football to build up that fitness and build up that momentum going into the season, and we did not have that whatsoever. We had a really indifferent pre-season as it was. And and I think that definitely shown in the first couple of games. But yeah, so we managed to get our first win of the season in the Cup against Aki Stanley. So now, of course, we were all hoping that we could transfer this form and momentum and bring it into the league. And that is when we welcomed Portsmouth to the Stadium Light, which, again, before the season started and I saw this fixture list, I was going to be happy with a draw because I knew that Portsmouth, they were going to be up there, along with the likes of Ipswich. So I was hoping for an Oxford win. At Oxford, welcoming Oxford. I was hoping that we were going to beat Oxford first game of the season. I would have been happy with an Ipswich draw. I would have been happy with the Portsmouth draw. But we won. We won by 2-1. And again, it was another performance that it wasn't pretty, but it was a game and a performance that I was very, very proud of because the lads grafted their absolute socks off, and it weren't just a pathetic performance. We weren't all over the place. We defended like absolute warriors, and we managed to graft out a 2-1 win against a team that will be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. I'm absolutely positive. So the lads do have it in them. We managed to get our first league win of the season, which was absolutely excellent. I thought we could build on that because we'd just taken on, at home, we'd just taken on one of the better teams, much better teams in the league, and we managed to get ourselves 3 points. That's going to be a massive confidence boost. But then we went away from home to Rochdale, where Rochdale, they're not a bad side whatsoever. They play a very, very good brand of football, and we were very, very lucky to get away with a 2-1 win. So again, it's another game in which we hadn't really lifted. We haven't taken a lift off yet, but we're still managing to scrape wins. I thought at this point, and I think I would have said this in my Rochdale review, we were still at that point that we'd said a million times last season where we're getting results but we're not playing well. When are we going to get into that second gear of demolishing teams and really just playing teams off the park? And we thought that had come because next up we took on Wimbledon, where we won 3-1, and that so far has been our best performance so far this season. Where Wimbledon, I think they were the first team in quite some time that comes to Stadium Light and actually just sat back. And when we are playing teams that are just going to sit back, to have the likes of Power and Leadbitter in midfield, that's perfect, that's fine, because they're going to have so much time on the ball, which the players like Leadbitter and Power, they need. And they controlled the game from midfield, and our attacking third looked excellent, and we ended up winning by 3-1. And it was massively against the run of play, Wimbledon's goal as well, and we just absolutely battered him. I think we played absolutely brilliant. There were some excellent passages of play, brilliant movement off the ball, and we looked really, really good. I think Jack Ross nailed it that day with the lineup, but I think Jack Ross, of course, a lot of managers have the sort of the thought process of don't change a winning side, which is true, and I understand that, but a winning side, regardless, it has to be adjusted for what you're going up against. Wimbledon are a side that sat back, and we probably thought that would have happened anyway. They've come to Stadium Light to sit back. They sat behind the ball and they allowed us to control it. So with the side that Jack Ross put out for that day, it was ideal because we had Leadbitter and Power who, given the time on the ball, they had ample time, they could just dish out willy-nilly their Hollywood passes as they like to, and they like to control the midfield. But when you come up against different teams who attack you, Leadbitter and Power, although they are known as more defensive midfielders, they're not defensive in the sense that they're not great tacklers or combative players. You might like to think they are, but they're not, because they get absolutely walked past when they get attacked. You need someone a bit more tenacious in there, like a Dobson, who isn't being utilised right now, in my opinion. But as I say, we did beat Wimbledon 3-1. Very good result, and I thought that was the start of something great. That is where we're going to take lift off, like I say, and just start running through teams. We took on Burnley in the Cup with a second string squad, admittedly against Burnley's second string squad, but even so, their class miles, outweighed ours, and we managed to get away with a 3-1 win after going a goal down, which just shows a colossal amount of character that we do have and we do possess within this squad. And I think it was excellent. Dobson and McGeoch that day in the middle were absolutely insane. They were insanely good against some strong opposition, against the likes of Danny Drinkwater as well in the middle, who, he's a great player, in my opinion. He's a fantastic little player, Danny Drinkwater, and they bossed him, absolutely bossed it. But then we went to Peterborough last time out, and like I say, Jack Ross, I can understand the team that he went with. I can understand because he has this process of don't change a winning team, but Peterborough are a very attacking side. They're a very good side. They're going to be there or thereabouts, away from home as well. To have Leadbitter and Power in the middle, you've shot yourself in the foot immediately there. Don't get me wrong, when I did see that lineup, I was quite happy with it. And I could understand it. But that should have been shifted quickly. As soon as he saw what kind of game this is becoming, that should have changed very, very quickly. Dobson should have been in there to clean up and help out in the middle, because Power and Leadbitter are absolute napkins, if that makes sense. Napkins, I don't know whether that makes any sense, but basically they were just an absolute piece of piss to walk through. They were walking through them all day long, and they added nothing to that game whatsoever, unless Power and Leadbitter decide to attack themselves and test the opposition midfield. Then great, go for it, but neither of them do it. Sideways passes or hoofs over the top, or trying these Hollywood passes that just weren't coming off that day. And don't get me wrong, and I'm not going to blame the Peterborough defeat on Jack Ross, surprisingly enough, or entirely, because that team should have tested Peterborough a lot more than what they did. They should have done. We know this. Was it just an off day? Maybe. Or were Peterborough just simply better than us on the day? Of course they were. They were miles better than us. They outclassed us. They were so much better in the final third, and they were clinical. So I think it's better to get a loss like this out of the way early on in the season. We had 2 sending offs. Everything that could have gone wrong that day went wrong. And, so that's the be all and end all of it. Could he have chose Dobson? Yes. But I can understand why he went for the team he went for. But I think he needs to see now that when you're up against a team, like I say, who have central midfielders who can bomb forward, you need someone with legs and energy to match them and hit them and test their midfielders, rather than just letting ours be tested. Because like I say, Power and Leadbitter together, they get absolutely overran so easily. Get Dobson in there, the young lad who will chase them around like there's no tomorrow. He's got 110% bloody energy all the time. And he'll be able to help out. Will it be the solution to all problems in midfield? Absolutely not. I don't think so. But it'll help a hell of a lot more than having Power and Leadbitter in there, who are too similar and they're too easy to predict and to play against. So yeah, Peterborough now. I've calmed down from it. I've got over it. It was a shit day. Everyone was having an off day, it seemed. McGeady was having an off day. He was losing the ball all the time. And maybe it was simply just an off day. And Peterborough, of course, are a very good team. You can't go away from home to someone like Peterborough and have the day that we had there and we got punished. That was it. I don't think that means that we're crap or we're shit, or Jack Ross out, whatever. I think we generally just had a bad day. And that was it. There was a few players in there who need to take blame, not just throw it all at Jack Ross. Because when things go well, and it's just the nature of football, when things go well, we big up the players, they're amazing and the best, this, that and the other. But as soon as things go wrong, even if it's the players' fault, Jack Ross out. Do you know what I mean? And, like I say, right at the beginning of the season, after the first couple of games, I was borderline, or I was pretty much in the Jack Ross out brigade, because I couldn't hack this 3 at the back anymore. But he has changed it. He's bit the bullet and realised that it was wrong, and I do appreciate that from Jack Ross. And it takes guts to, He's came out with his philosophy. It's gone wrong. It's something that he clearly believed in, but it wasn't working. And he's completely changed it around, and for the better for the most part. Anyway, because it was bringing us round. It brought round some decent results. But yeah. So it was a bad day at Peterborough, and I think this break probably didn't come round at the best of times. We were supposed to play Burton at the weekend, but with the international call-ups, it did get postponed, and we did manage to rearrange it. And I hope we don't rearrange too many games like that this season, because to get a build-up of games in hand, it's not nice. We saw that last season, because then we start to rely on, if we lose this game, at least we've got another game in hand, because then if you work it out, we can actually do this and we do that, and become very reliant on these games in hand. And they come around quicker than you think, and if you lose them, you're screwed. And to have that sort of cushion in your head of, oh, well, we have the games in hand. It's just a false hope, and you'd rather be up there and playing the same amount of games as everyone else, because that's just the way it is. But yeah, so that is how the season has gone so far, and I would rate it a 6 out of 10, because I think it could have gone worse. It should have been and could have been a lot better. I think had we beat Oxford and got at least a point against Peterborough, that would have been a very, very good start to the season, or at least a very solid start to the season for me. But I think just an improvement on performances in general would be great, of course. But I'm just hoping that was just an off day at Peterborough, because, again, I think if you look at that game, the first half, I think we were competitive. We just didn't have that bite in the final third or in the middle, to be fair. And we did compete in the first half. We were, I think, relatively even, like I say, but then I think their quality just ran through in the second half and ran ragged, and we got battered in the end. Luckily, Luke O'Nien's suspension from that game has been lifted, because Tony is just an absolute tit. I mean, if you want to go and look up what he did, I mean, O'Nien had a bit of a clash with him, but all O'Nien did is kind of put his arm around him, shout in his face, and then he's grabbed his own face, Tony, and threw himself to the floor, which I spoke about in the review, but that's been overturned, that suspension, and rightly so, because Tony's just a dick. But Charlie White, his suspension will remain, which it's a blow, but also understandable, because it was a really stupid second yellow that he just shouldn't have. He just hacked down a play for no reason, really. Just frustration, and he let it get to him. And Charlie White's been excellent so far this season as well, so that's really, really annoying from him. But it's great that we have O'Nien back, because I don't want to see McLaughlin at all playing right back. But yeah, like I say, 6 out of 10. It's been an okay start to the season. Next weekend we take on Accrington Stanley, and hopefully we can get our form back on track. I think now that this takeover is in the forefront of everyone's mind and everyone's focuses on that, it's kind of took us away from the fact and helped people get over this Peterborough defeat. It's something to get excited about. And next Saturday against Accrington, hopefully we can put that right. I will be there against Accrington, my favourite away day, as you know. I'll be getting the train down with a couple of mates, so hopefully I see you guys there. But yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. A 6 out of 10 for me in terms of the start of the season. It's been okay-ish. A few bumps, a few niggles, but hopefully we do get back on track and just smash Aki away from home next Saturday. So you let me know what you think about our start to the season in the comments down below. But if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.